just a disclaimer, anything which me or my guest speaker, anyone share any views, it's our personal view. It does not belongs to any organization we are associated. So please keep that in mind. And specifically, I try to say from myself because I have association with the Microsoft directly. So just wanted to make it very clear that don't take that I'm coming officially and saying something on this platform. Agenda for today is like we are having the introduction and the quick recap. Then we have our expert here, Rakesh, today, who would share thought process around how do you become the solution architect, or what is the path you can take. Then there is a topic of the day which I take generally, and it is not at all related to configuration or product and at all. So today I will try to share my journey, my experience of preparing for the interviews and how you can learn from that and prepare better for your next interview in this Dynamics 365 space. And then we have a pre-submitted questions and then the open forum where you can ask anything. And I also have certain questions which you guys have submitted. So we will try to answer those things. So that's the agenda for today. About me, I think I'll not spend more time. You guys would have been bored by now talking about me right now. So I'll just go ahead and talk about the recap of last month. So last month we did the data management with the expert topic where Venkatesh came and shared his knowledge. Then topic of the day was the certification in Dynamics 365, the importance, why you should do, how you should approach. So we talked about those things. Okay. So that was the last month, and then the general open Q&A forum which we had. Now all those sessions are posted on YouTube, and I know I have a feedback. We put a music in the background. So this time onwards, we won't do that. We will keep it a blog video raw as much as possible so that you can listen to the proper content there. Okay, before you start putting in the chat that, hey, there was a noise in the background. Okay. So with that, there are certain key resources which my team has put in the chat. Yeah, like if you want to become a functional consultant, I have curated the step-by-step guide, which you can go through, prepare yourself, explore your learning journey by yourself. There is a playlist for the YouTube on these sessions, which we are doing. We divide into the segment and publish it. And there is a GitHub link where I share my like all the PowerPoints which we are having here. We put this on the open forum for you. You can download, review this content. And also there are certain other resources like people talk about FDD template, requirement, fit gap template and all. So those type of resources are also available on the GitHub. So you can download them if you would like to have them. Okay, so expert topic, path to become solution architect, and who can, I could not think of any other speaker than the Rakesh here. He will talk about, introduce himself, but I would say that Rakesh is one of the person in the community who is very consistent in sharing the knowledge first thing. He's been he's been the FastTrack recognized solution architects for a couple of years, MVP for multiple years. And more than that, he comes with a almost 20 plus years of experience. So he has possibly seen the kind of a journey of any implementation from start to end, 100 times, right? So he can possibly help us and anyone who would like to, who is at a career stage as a senior consultant or lead consultant, and now thinking that how do I take it on to the next level as a solution architect? So Rakesh is going to help us with that. So thank you so much, Rakesh, taking our time and coming here and sharing your experience with us and guiding all the people in this session. So I'll stop speaking and it is over to you. I can navigate, Rakesh, if you want, or you want to share that screen, that is also fine.
Yeah, I'll try to upload the slide deck from my side. Let's see how it goes. If
Yeah,
not, then maybe you can continue. Okay.
sure, sure.
I hope my screen is visible to everyone.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So I'll just quickly start with the agenda, and Saurav, thank you very much for setting the floor for me and for our audience as well. So in terms of our agenda today, we will start with the core aspect of the solution architect role, irrespective of any technology that you are working on. But I'll restrict myself in next 45 minutes or so, mainly focusing on Dynamic 365 Finance and Operation App ERP, right? Sometimes probably I'll use Dynamic 365 Finance, Supply Chain, or AI ERP. So that don't get confused. Okay, it's just a nomenclature that often we use as and when we connect with the different personas from a Microsoft side, from a partners ecosystem side, as well as from a customer side, right? So we'll start with who can become a solution architect, okay, and then we will dive deep into the more aspect of what exactly a solution architect does, and why they are so crucial. And then we'll also go into more detail why you might consider this career path, right? Because currently you might be playing a role of the functional consultant, tester, or technical aspect, right? Then why you need to go into that path, right? Are there any benefits? Are there any upside or downside? We'll try to brainstorm on that. Then we will also focus more on how someone can embark on this journey and become a solution architect, right? Because everyone comes with a set of experience, or if there is a college graduates, if they want to pursue a career out of their, the number of months of experience, how they can pursue that. And then we will more focus on the pre-submitted questions and the Q&A as mentioned by Saurav earlier. Okay. So in terms of the who am I? So myself is Rakesh Darge, and I played a role of global lead as a customer success architect team at TCS here in Mumbai, India. I carried close to 23 years of experience in IT. So I started my career as a developer, programming called VC++, and then I got into the professional degree of MBA in finance, and that is where I got to know the whole aspect of the financial area, and then I got a chance to work with one of the ERP before I enter into the Dynamics space. So I started my career in Dynamics back in 2005, and that is very close to 18 years. I spent almost more than a decade in this Dynamics family products. I started with Accepta 3.0 and worked upon almost all the flavors version of Dynamics, right from on-premises to the cloud side of the story, as well as the agentic world nowadays we talked about, right? I'm also Microsoft MVP in the business applications. I've been in the program since last close to 2 years or so. I've been part of the Microsoft FastTrack Recognized Solution Architects, close to, I think, the fourth year that Microsoft is awarding me as a FastTrack Recognized Architect, mainly focusing on the large transformation program that we, or my organization, that we deliver, and how we exhibit those skill sets and try to adopt the technology as well as the framework supported by FastTrack team called as Success by Design, and how we ensure the predictive success for our customers, right? At the same time, I'm fully committed for the activity that Saurav and I typically do for community. So I lead the Mumbai, India Dynamics 365 and Power Platform Community Group as a group leader, and we do organize bunch of sessions, weekly sessions, monthly sessions, sometimes yearly sessions as well. Okay, I do have my own YouTube channel as well as my community YouTube channel. You can follow me on my blog site where I typically talked about the real problem statement, but main content I try to focus more on the architecture aspects. If I want to just talk about one core aspect, like you might have heard about the concept called dual right? So when we talk about the dual right, people always get to know from a documentation path or from the learning aspect that how to deal with the dual right, where it is fit and where it is not fit. But my blog talks about how the dual right works in the background. I'm just giving an example, right? That what that blog is. So real world problem statement and how I address those problem statements. So you will find those success stories and those experiences, on my blog post. Then I'll just quickly move on to the next segment. So as I mentioned about my journey and all, once again, I would like to thank Saurabh for giving me an opportunity to talk in this series of Microsoft Dynamics ERP mentorship expert sessions. And to be honest with you, I'm really excited where I'm going to share my journey as well as those who really want to become a solution architect. We'll see how best we can, address that aspects together. But to be honest with you, this one of the topic, is the heart of the technological innovations. You might have also seen many organizations are hiring the solution architect role, but people are a bit having confusion or some sort of thought process or missing thought process that I'm having a 5 years and 6 years of experience or 3 years of experience. Can I become an architect in that specific area? Right. So that therefore you might have heard these terms multiple times, or perhaps it's entirely the new to you, or maybe at the end of the session, I hope so that you will have clear understanding of what makes this one of the most exciting and the impactful careers in the technology today that we talked about, right? So but before we jump in, a quick round of questions, where I'll just try to talk about, is my screen visible on my Slido app?
Yep, yep.
Now let's focus on the next slide, right? So because I'll be very honest here, all the slides, I just wanted to start with the questions and then I'll try to address those in the practicality aspects, and then we'll have the questions and answers from your side as well. Okay, so just move on to the our next questions that comes is who can become a solution architect, right? So let's start with the what kind of a background that do you need, or often we when we think about these tech roles, we imagine a very specific kind of a trajectory where the solution architect roles truly stands out, right? So what do you think is that the most backgrounds for the solution architect, right? Often we believe that uh, the computer science degree or maybe years of a software developer experience or someone from a the business school background perhaps, right? Sometimes it happens, right? So well, in reality what happens is the 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 observe what I observe in my last x number of careers in the industry, that thousands of solution architect is quite surprising, right? There is no common thread when it comes to your educations or any personal background, right? And solution architects typically comes from incredible, their diverse walks of the life. For an example, if I'm talking to about a people about education or ethnics, right? So that comes from various countries, right? Like India's or other side of the story, right? Overseas, right? And their and their professional starts, as just as a variety. Some begins with the software developers, or some begins as a functionals, or thanks, Saurabh. So what I was trying to highlight the respect to professional, right? When they start their career, there is a variety, right? Some begins as a software developers, or some begins as a functional or even programmer like me. So some went to a university or some did not. So and some came from a privileged backgrounds, or others are kind of a modest one, right? So these sort of incredible diversity means that truly anybody from any background can become a solution architect, right? So as you can see on the poll, maybe you can start giving your thought process that what do you think is the most common background for a solution architect, whether it's a computer science degree or it's years as a software engineers or developer, or someone from just a background developers. So as I mentioned, while the Slido is running bit behind while I'm talking, uh, to be honest, there is no specific background, whether it's a developer, or whether it's a functional or a programmer. Anybody from any background can become a solution architect in this ERP world. Okay, so that is what my learning from last couple of years. But what actually makes me more focused is the beyond the background, right? And what are those common threads? So in my personal view, there are two common threads that we should focus more on that. One is apart from the personal background, right? One is the strong technical background, and this does not necessarily means being an expert in everything. It also implies either a deep understanding of a few technology areas, or broad understanding of many different types of the technology, right? So whether it's a solution architect and he or she needs to be able to dive deep into the technology or whenever it's required, correct? Second aspect, which is one of the important common thread, is that really a strong people and the business acumen. And this is what I have learned personally over a period of time, where perhaps the most, the unique differentiator, especially in the consulting side of the story, if I talk about, it means being able to zoom out and the talk to the leaders in the business about how the technology is going to help them and achieve their revenue goals, or the business objective, or support the people that works inside of the business, right? So it combines both technology, the revenue goals, the business objective, so on and so forth, right? So it is all about the understanding of why behind the tech from a business perspective, right? However, while there are some newer program, the market, you might have seen on LinkedIn and others, that few people straight out of the college without having any prior tech experience, they try to, or majority that I have seen, become a solution architect today, and are professional who started as a engineers or developers for that matter, right? And they typically transition into this role later in their career at a more senior level. If I look at my story, I spent close to 7 or 8 years, the beginning of my career as a developer, and then I transitioned into the technical architect, technical lead role before I enter into technical architect, and then technical architect helped me to transition into the solution architect, and then lead of solution architect, so on and so forth, right? So considering these common threads, we just try to understand how many of you feel that already have a technical background or the actively building one, and how many are focusing on developing those crucial businesses and people see. What is just your thought process? I would like to understand before I move on to the next slide.
Hi, my name is
Yeah,
Hanisha.
yeah.
So I worked as a functional consultant for around 5 years. I
Mm-hmm.
started my journey as a tester and currently build myself to be a functional consultant.
Yeah.
So I do not have any coding knowledge, but I do have some knowledge of Power BI and SQL, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
actively trying to develop business and people skills right now.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Can you try to share your thought process in this poll, Anisha, if possible, by either joining the slido.com or scanning this QR code?
Yeah, sure. And when you talk about technical background, like what exactly are the expectations? Like the knowledge about
Yeah.
XPP or anything
Okay.
else?
No, when I'm referring to the technical background, it does not mean that you should understand the core aspect of the X++ programming language, right? Because the X++ programming language is just a language. If someone understand, then he or she can start building that customization or extension in the ERP, right? So when I'm referring to technical thought process, it's a core technical understanding, right? For an example, if you are playing a solution architect role, as you mentioned that you transition your career path from testing into the functional consultant, right? So by now you got to know the both the areas, the challenges from testing side and the challenges from the functional side, and you also got to know the functional aspect, right? So when you try to become a solution architect, probably you have covered half path of the story of that journey of the solution architect, because by now you understood how the customer business look like and how that business processes are going to be fit for the purpose in the product. Okay. However, there every customization or every customer has a different story altogether, right, from their business processes. And often we have seen they try to lack the understanding from the ERP. So sometimes if they demand for set of business requirement, I'm just giving an example now, Alisha, where you believe that okay, this sort of requirements cannot be fulfilled in the ERP world because uh, standard processes might need some tailored approach or some tweaking, so on and so forth, right? But how that tweaking, how that tailored approach is going to help customer business process. Do we need to go for a path of the technical understanding? It does not mean that you have to have the knowledge of the X++, right? Because you will have your own development team. But you should know the technical artifacts in such a way so that you can guide customer as well as your team that look, if you want to build this particular customization, you want to adhere to the set of best practices of ERP. For an example, if someone just try to build some UI, and that UI is going to create a trouble for business users by clicking the number of button clicks, it's not going to help business users to improvise their day-to-day productivity, or it is also not going to help to sustain that customization in the long run. So you should understand the technical knowledge of those entire artifacts that ERP provide. As you mentioned that you have the understanding of the Power BI, right? But that Power BI understanding is sufficient for fulfill the need of the business requirement, because when it comes to the Power BI, we can have a bunch of approaches to connect the data of the ERP world to the Power BI, right? Someone might have the understanding that I do have a data storing in my data lake. Can I connect with the data lake? Or do we need to have the additional Azure Synapse links that FNO allows? So all these fundamental aspects, if you understand from a technology perspective, then I think you can follow the path of the solution architect. That is what I can highlight here, Anisha.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the clarity.
I can see Raj, you also raise your hand. You want to go first?
So, yes, Rakesh, the question is intriguing when you should talk about this particular kind of tailor-made
Yeah,
solutions that fit for
that's correct.
business perspective. So let's
Yeah.
say some solutions would be working for some customers, right? So let's say if they are in particularly SCM, they would be already having AWS,
Mhm.
AWS procurement for cloud, and then
Yeah.
they would be using some AWS services for particular needs, be it an
Mm,
FTP server or something like that. And
mm,
then some customer would be like fully dependent upon Azure, and then there are some people
mm,
who are a totally different tech stack, right? So and
mm,
then it's about the matter of like how you would convince them. So let's say if they are an already existing tech stack, and then when as a solution architect, when you feel when they move to this new one or a new
mm,
approach that you are
mm,
providing, you feel that this integration would be a much more successful one. How do you
mm,
pitch to them? Like some people would already be comfortable on what they are having, right? And then but they would be looking for a transformation in which they wanted to increase their business and do the transformation by themselves too. So how the talks would be going on regarding that?
yeah, it's a very good question, Raj. So first and foremost, when we will deal with some sort of this sort of questions, right? Uh, I think 5 out of 10 customers, those who are transitioning into this dynamics world, you will find that they are already having the well-established platform, not necessarily the Azure as a platform, but maybe as you mentioned, Raj, maybe it's a GCP or Amazon, right? So as a solution architect, you have to take into consideration three core aspects. That's what I learned. One is the current platform that they are using, and they're trying to help you to understand that no, I don't want to go away from that AWS platform, but I'm bringing a new kid in the my ecosystem, which is Dynamics 365 ERP, and I wanted to build a the integration with that AWS, right? So first and foremost, you have to thoroughly understand the Dynamics 365 ERP, the best practices and the technology stack that offers for any kind of integration. So Raj, I'm just giving an example of integration so that everyone can correlate with the platform, right? What you just question that you just asked. So that will give you a more clarity that yes, you can educate customers such a way that look, the Dynamics 365 ERP from an integration perspective allows this many technologies, and these technologies are common, so that if you want to retain the AWS platform for integration, certainly you can go with that. Second option that you can also propose to the customer by going more dive deep into the aspect what they are currently leveraging in AWS, right? So the cost factor benefit. So the cost factor benefit, Raj, is also one of the aspect solution architect should focus more on that. So if you just figure out they are using a 4 services from AWS platform, although they are using maybe last couple of years, and now they're starting with the Azure, it is also opportunity for them to relook at. If I just try to compare those services from AWS with the Azure platform services, how it is going to be beneficial for them in the long run. May not be in a immediate, but in the long run, how it is going to be beneficial. Third, which is one of the important aspects, which is the security aspect, right? How that security layer is going to be around this new thought process that they are trying to build. And the fourth one, Raj, is nothing but your the customer or the end users experience. If I talk about this integration piece, right, then whether I'm dealing with the mission critical application for my customers that are running in the AWS, how am I going to build an entire story? So net to give you an answer to your question, Raj, it is a kind of a understanding as an architect you should have from not only from a ERP perspective, from an entire Azure platform perspective. And this trend has been started since last couple of years or so, because it's more natural for business to adopt the Azure platform. Because if you look at this ERP of Dynamics 365 finance and operation, is more and more integrating with Azure platform, whether it's a platform as a services, whether it's a function as a services, right? So three core aspects: the cost benefit, the security aspects, and what's going to be achieved by the customers in terms of the return on investment in the long term.
Got it. That's straight to the point. Thank you so much, Rakesh. And then I do have another question, but maybe I'll park it for the future, or else I could ask it now itself if you're okay with that.
No, I'm okay. I think that is what I think Saurav also set the stage, right? That it is more question and answer. Rather, I start giving some thought process around it, right? So I think if you have any questions, that would be beneficial for other people as well, and they will also learn from it.
Maybe
Sure.
let ask Dharmen the first question because has his hands up. Let's give him one more chance, and then
Yeah.
maybe you can come back,
Sorry, I
Raj.
can't see that window
And
because I'm on sharing mode.
that's
Yeah.
okay. I'll do that for you. Yeah.
Okay.
Dharmen, you want to go next, then
Yeah, Dharmendra.
Thanks. Thanks. The more important question that I have is that the Microsoft Dynamics environment is continuously evolving, right? By the time one is engaged on a project and comes out of a project in a year, there are already 3 to 4 service updates out. There are technical changes happening, more and more advancements happening. So, what is the best way for someone to stay relevant, stay updated always? Because one cannot spare too much time on going through everything.
So, Dharmendra, would you like to share one or two scenario for a better understanding for others when you talk about this the question?
Yes, yes, yes. Let's say a couple of years before, mobile apps were managed by Microsoft. Now they are
Yeah.
deprecating this, right? So if
Yeah.
someone now wants to go for mobile apps, then one has to search for options like go for React.js or go for Power Apps. It takes too much time. So there is a gap, and then maybe it was filled by something else coming from Microsoft. But how is one able to stay up to date and make right decisions?
I think it's a very valid question, Dharmendra. And primarily, if I wear a hat of a customer who is spending millions and millions of dollars, right? So how the customer can stable their IT infrastructure, how they can, focus more on the landscape that they are trying to implement from the ERP side of the story. Okay, but
Right.
if you ask me, Dharmendra, I'll just quickly step back, especially for those who are not having the idea about how this product evolved, right? So this product evolved from on-premises to the cloud world, right? And at the same time, the cloud services across the globe, not only just the Azure platform, but the bit GCP and bit AWS, those are also evolving. And why it is evolving? Only because of our chip makers. They're making a chip such a way that the computer size, going maybe smaller and smaller as compared to the others. Second, the business scenarios are evolving. I think you'll agree with me, Dharmendra, from that side as well. The business scenarios are evolving day by day. The mission critical applications, the way customer is looking at as compared to the previous journey is no more valid now, right? Third aspect, the cost effective solution, right? So that is also one of the important, and that's where you might have also heard many ERP, not only the Dynamics world, but outside Dynamics world as well. Many times customer is trying to adopt or build their own design patterns when it comes to, they call as the event driven architecture, right? Rather than the monolithic one. Why? Because they want to focus on only those mission critical areas when it comes to the implementation and when it comes to the integration. It has to be cost effective. As and when they invoke, then only they should be able to pay for it, and they should be able to get the return of investment on out of it. But coming back to your questions, the platform is evolving. The platform is evolving, but obvious, and tomorrow also this platform is going to be evolved. So far, the way kind of the kind of technology is changing due to the multiple factors. I'll not go into the factor. We'll plan for another session on that. But again, coming back to this question, I don't know whether you got a chance to look at the recent advancements and the current platform that you have, Dharmendra, but more or more this ERP is trying to align with the one dynamics and one platform, right? Because the Dynamics as a family is now merging with the one single platform, be it the user experience, be it the business processes, and be it your integration thought processes together. And then on top of it, we have the Azure as a platform, right? So to rightly answer your questions, yes, technology is changing. People are adopting those changes because there is a need for it. Okay, there is a need for it. So if you go into the experience of the admin, Dharmendra, if I talk about that simple topic, earlier we used to have a dedicated role for admin people who is to manage the infrastructure, whether it's on-prem one or whether it's a cloud world in the through the LCS channel. But now the LCS is going away, and it is going to be more merged experience into the Power Platform Admin Center. Why? Because it's a low code, no code platform. You can see everything. You can build your own Power App solutions, everything, right? Now, coming back to the question that you just mentioned, earlier we used to have a mobile app, but if you look at the journey of those, the mobile app and the kind of architecture that we were having earlier, it was just running only on the online mode. I don't know whether you notice or not, Dharmendra, but there were many scenarios. For an example, if you take a supply chain area, in the supply chain area, many times the warehouses, people, they work from a remote location, right? Because warehouses always in remote locations. And when they try to figure out, calculate their inventory by using any sort of mobile devices or handheld devices, right? It requires that information to be captured back to the Dynamics ERP, right? Or maybe someone wants to approve the information on the go using their mobile phone. The earlier platform was the mobile platform I was referring to, was providing only in the online mode. But that the kind of a thought process one Dynamics and one platform is bringing, which is not only required, that's what the business asks, right? Not only required the online mode, but also required the offline mode. But had it been the case that offline mode was there, but the technology that we are using, the ERP, was not kind of a option for business user to scalable. So therefore, the mobile option has been merged into the Power Apps because the Power Apps, the Canvas app model allow you to go for the offline mode. There are a bunch of features Microsoft had started loading. They are not fully yet, but I think POs and everything they started rolling so that business can start working on in offline mode, even though they don't have any proper internet connection.
Yes. So that's correct, and that's what exactly the point that I wanted to bring out. Like how important it is for a solution architect to stay updated of the changes happening, because as we see that it's not possible for a single person to go through everything that Microsoft comes up with new thing.
I
Mostly those
completely
are
agree
like
with you. And yeah, and that is where, Dharmendra, the community connections, right? We build this, we say that a strong relationship with the connection with the community and having a mentor play a very important role. Because if I come from a background of X number of implementation, there is no guarantee whether you will have similar kind of a learning, right? That is where, and you can also, you cannot spend your whole day to learn something that Microsoft has launched, right? Definitely there is some gap. Today I'm talking about something, right? But it does not mean that I know everything about it, right? There will be some
Yeah.
area where I need more understanding, right? But I cannot say that that understanding is maybe just a 5%. No, it can be more also, right? So all I'm trying to highlight as a solution, I'm coming back to our topic, as a solution architect, you have to keep your continuous learning, not by just reading some information that Microsoft has shipped, but also having a true mentorship with your either a seniors or a colleagues or junior for that matter, as well as the community talk, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's any area, like, because every day a lot of things are new changings happening, right? Ignore the fact of the co-pilot and agentic world, but within the finance and operation app as well, right? That electronic framework is coming up. Then now there are a bunch of agents are there, right? So there are so many things. So if you have
True.
that right platform for community and the mentorship, I think that is where the true value is going to become, in my view,
Yeah, I
Dharmendra.
guess the last part you said is more important is to stay engaged with communities because that's where it's possible to get good opinions and good recommendations without spending too much time on every topic. I
Absolutely
believe
right.
that's a good
Absolutely
answer.
right. Yeah.
Rakesh,
Okay.
I just wanted to like make sure that you complete at least your structured session. Do you want to take the question in the end once we you finish thing just to time check? I mean on this, right?
Yeah, I have 4 or 5 slides more. I leave it to our audience how they want to pursue.
Yeah, maybe I don't know. Like maybe there are few people who are experienced, but maybe just for the interest of other people who are not
Yeah,
possibly if they are shy, right? Maybe let them see
yeah,
what you have prepared at least, right? To see the
yeah, yeah.
different
Makes
aspect,
sense. Makes
right?
sense. So
And then we
let's
can
do
take
one
up the
thing.
questions after that.
Yeah, let's do one thing then, Saurabh. I'll quickly run through these slides, maybe in the next 7 or 10 minutes or so, and then we'll open the forum. We'll open
Yes.
the forum for everyone, those who are shy and those who are not shy, but still they want to ask any questions, and if they want to become a solution architects or anything in with respect to the architect area, I'm happy to address those questions as well. Huh? Let's do that then. Hmm?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about our next questions. What does the solution architects do, right? I think Raj and Dharmendra, I think kind of asked the similar kind of a questions. And but if you ask me, in my view, by now you might have understand who can become one, and let's tackle the now the core area part of it, right? That what exactly the solution architect do and why they are so important in every organizations, right? So in my view, the easiest and the most fundamental way to explain it these days, the architects connect the business problem with the technical solution. That is where I mentioned in one of the question that I asked, right? That it does not mean that you cannot become an architect. Just try to understand that if you're coming from a background of functional, try to adopt the technology stack so that you can, connect the business problem with the technical solutions. So if you look at the example, so think about it this way. The world is, constantly changing, right? Dharmendra also mentioned that how can we learn new things are coming up, right? So whether it's a small organization or whether it's a large organization, they always needing to integrate with the new technology to keep up with the the competitors, or for that matter the innovation for their customer. I think one of the questions that has been asked by Raj as well, which is also answered the question that I just talked on. And often the companies have their internal team as well, right? In-house team members that we call upon, which maintain the existing solutions, manage the existing solution, right? But when it comes to the something entirely new, whether Microsoft nowadays launch kind of agents into the ERP side, right? Something they have never done before, right? And they often borrow the experience or expertise from their partners they are associated with, right? And these partners includes major cloud provider like consulting firm from where I'm coming, or for that matter, the Microsoft consulting division, so on and so forth, right? Or maybe vendors, those who are well versed in this technology. And that is where the solution architect steps in, where he consults with the customers to understand the challenges, what challenges that they are trying to face with the current application, how they can either you can reduce the challenges, and how you can suggest some sort of workaround. And that is where the solution architect clearly articulate the value of a new technology solution may have for their business. For an example, if Microsoft has launched any new features, new capability, and so on and so forth, it does not mean that every customer need in today's time, right? That is where if a customer comes in, it is a duty of the architect to articulate the value such a way that how this technology solution is going to help a business. Okay, and if that the standard solution is not going to help, then try to provide the guidance or some sort of roadmap that how we can tailor that for a specific business. Third aspect is enabling the existing team. As I mentioned that many customers, they have their own team, right? So try to see how to build and operate or install or for that matter manage a specific piece of the technology. For an example, if Microsoft today's world launched the Copilot sidecar experience, you might have seen on the Microsoft websites or many community blogs. But as an architect, but obviously, you have to understand what features that Microsoft has launched with respect to the Copilot sidecar experience. But in addition to this, as an architect, you have to also understand how that sidecar experience, the entire architects works, right? When I hit the the natural language query in the sidecar experience, what happens is where that my prompt goes, how that prompt travels to the get the information back from my database that I do have my information, how my security aspects applies on top of it, so that when you will have a discussion with the enterprise level architect or a solution architect from customer side, you will be able to articulate. So that is where the articulating the value and helping what kind of a technology that really comes into picture whenever you are playing a role of the solution architect. The next question comes into mind that do I need to associate with any specific group of within the organization, because many large organization carries different groups, right? They have architect group, they have delivery team, they have a pre-sales team, so on and so forth, right? So I look after what I seen that as a solution architect is kind of a trusted advisor, irrespective of any role. It starts from your pre-sales engagement journey to the implementation journey. So what it means that for an example, that there is a wide variety of the solution architect roles out there in the market. You might have seen, right? And some of the solution architect role are common in general nature, and others are very specialist. So if I talk about in the Dynamics 365 area, I don't know whether you notice or not. If you try to register any events from Microsoft, earlier used to select what is your role, and they used to say either the role of a developer or a programmer or a business analyst. But nowadays, if that event is associated for ERP and having some thought process from the entire Dynamics 365 family, you would see the term as a role you'll appear as not as a solution architect, but it will appear as a business solution architect. It means the architect is understanding the business and value and providing the core value to the business, right? So in this example, what I'm trying to highlight here that some people might work in the pre-sales capacity, but essentially they are helping customers to understand the solution, right, before they buy it. And others might work in the implementation, the way I am working in the implementation solution, right? But similarly, I also support the pre-sales team as and when required. But in the implementation journey, what happens is the architects help customers, after the product is purchased. So sometimes he needs to more focus on having a more dialogue with another team and educate the customer team as well as educate the implementation team for hands-on experience. Okay. Then let's quickly move on to the next question. That is, why become a solution architect, right? So we know, right, who can do it and what they do it. And now the big question is why become a solution architect? One of the biggest point that comes to my mind, in my opinion, that is the one of the coolest job in the technology. That is what I believe so, because I've been part of this technology in this role for so many years, right? And another reason it could be so cool because the architects sits right on the middle of the business and the people and the technology. It is not just a technology. So you can think of he's a playing of a role of a technical manager or some sort of captain of that pilot or the pilot for that particular ship, right? That's how it is He understands the business well, he understands the people, and as well as the technology. While the technology itself is changing or fascinating, right? Every piece of the technology, what we adapt today is basically around the human decisions, right? It is based on the discussion that we are having with the internal team or a customer. And this means that this being a part of the human decision making process around, adopting and investing the new technology stack. So what I believe, if you why it is important, only 3 points: business, peoples, and technology. That's where the solution architects right on the middle, right? Another aspect that I believe, so that it keeps things interesting. What it means that once you master a technology or the functional area, it can sometimes become repetitive, right? Because we are doing a repetitive task. But when it comes to people, people are impossible to master, right? So that is where there's endless different personality types, different businesses, business processes, organization, decision making processes. That's where the solution architect is also learning day by day when he or she get into any project, right? It means even if you are completing the master in the technology, you never be going to be bored with because the human being are the so complex and dynamics in nature, right? Now let's try to address our next question, which is how to become a solution architect, right? So right now we have seen who will do that, right? But the practical part of the how does the someone can become a solution architect, and to achieve that, I think we discussed earlier, right? And the broader background of solution architect is not a single, it's not a simple path, but you define a journey such a way that there are three aspects in my view. First, build your own technical foundation. What it means, that it does not mean that you have to learn the X++, you have to learn the core aspect. No, you have to first put your interest in the area that you're more focusing on, that, right? Understand your technical people, how they're developing, what approach they take, right? And understand the security layer, understanding the infrastructure as well as the cloud. When it comes to the focusing on the learning about the people and businesses, I believe so the technical skills are only half of that equation in my view, right? Because here you have to understand how the business buy the technology and how people in business can buy the technology make for making their decisions, so on and so forth, right? This means doing things like reading a books in the people in a psychology and the business, that kind of a equation over here. The third aspect is the develop the genius, a genuine interest and a passion, right? So you have to have that sort of passion and the perseverance if you want to focus more on this area, and you should aim to fall in love with the technology. So when I started my career as a developer, and when I started understanding the people, the business, and the technology, that is where I started loving it, right? So if you have that sort of spark, I think achieving a solution architect is not a difficult journey or task for you. I think now we are reaching towards the last slides, and then I'll open the forum for any Q&A. So last point is your journey to become a solution architect. So I think most of the points I already discussed with Dharmendra, but in my view, there are three core aspects. You have to build your own network. Okay, so what it means that connect with a solution architect team, have a mentorship with them, understand how they execute a program, right? So when it comes to new implementation, I think beginning of the call, many people talked about their experiences, what Saurav has giving them or delivering them some sort of understanding of the product. But when it comes to the solution architect, so think about a scenario, you join a program as a solution architect, right? So you have to manage the end-to-end piece right from the customer journey until your entire your team as well, until the go live process, right? So try to attach to architects, those who are going to really help you as a mentorship, so that you can learn from them. Another aspect is the passion and the perseverance. Without passion and perseverance, no other role is going to give you a more benefit or more sort of experience to it. So I think I'm just trying to reach to a last slide of this deck. I'll take a pause here, and then we'll have more questions if anyone has. Let me stop my sharing so that I can see who is asking the questions.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rakesh. I think we can take couple of questions for 5-10 minutes. Spend on that before we start the next segment for today's session.
Yeah.
Yep. Maybe okay if you want
Thank
to.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rakesh, and thank you for the opportunity. Um, my question is this. Um, I heard Rakesh mention that the transition from a different ERP to Dynamics, correct? So if you have someone that's already certified Microsoft Dynamics finance and supply chain already, but currently has about 15 years experience in different ERP, how do you advise, and the person is looking for opportunity to come into the, the Microsoft Dynamics space, how do you advise such a person to navigate, to look for opportunity, like to come into the Microsoft Dynamics space?
Okay. So, okay, first of all, thank you, okay, for asking this question. I think this is one of the questions that often that I hear from many team. And in fact, if I look at my journey also, okay, when I got into this ERP world of Dynamics, this is not the first ERP that I started. I started with one of the ERP called as Sightline, and now that has been acquired by a company called Infor, and now it's become a Infor Sightline Infor, right? So to answer your question, okay, when you carry a thought process or a knowledge from a previous ERP, okay, whether it's a technology area or the functional area for that matter, that journey in the dynamics world carries as it is. So my suggestion would be whatever knowledge that you have from the previous ERP, it is definitely going to be reused in this new ERP. But every ERP comes with their own structure, right? As an architect, you have to understand that. So if you are focusing more on these 2-3 areas, I think you are good to go to begin your new career path as an architect in this ERP. First aspect, the processes that you are trying to understand from the previous ERP is going to remain the same, irrespective of navigation path here and there. That easily you can build that experience for your customers when you try to plan for a demo with them. Third aspect, try to see how this ERP solutioning aspects work, because as an architect, someone might engage you in the pre-sales, right? So if you're understanding the requirement in the pre-sales area as part of the RFP, you should be able to visualize how I'm going to, put forward the understanding of those requirements in the right channel, which will be
Rakesh, I think you're not getting, you didn't understand my question, if I may say. I understand have vast knowledge of functional consulting from a different ERP, but now I'm trying to come into the Microsoft Dynamics space. I
that's
understand
correct.
that experience is vital. It's just every ERP, a little bit, the process is about the same. The procure to pay cycle, P2O to C cycle, those other cycles are all the same, correct? But
That's correct.
the architect could be a bit different. Maybe
That's correct.
some are more advanced, some are more functions, more module here and there. Yeah, I get that. But now in my own scenario is that I'm trying to come into um Microsoft Dynamics space to look for opportunity, maybe to get a job in that aspect. So because already I've done the certification already for finance and supply chain already, certified already, those two
Okay.
already. So
Okay.
now I'm looking for opportunity. How do you advise someone trying to look for opportunity to come into the Microsoft Dynamics
Mhm.
space
Yeah.
from previous experience? How do you advise the person that okay, you can start by maybe exploring the communities, looking for maybe a partner to join or something like that. Trying to that's what I'm trying to understand.
Okay, so you
You
want to
get
understand how you can get that job opportunity based on the knowledge that you had in the past, as well as the knowledge that you gain by passing this certification in the dynamics, right? Okay.
no, I'm trying to understand how do I um navigate my career partner to Microsoft Dynamics. Okay, you can say, okay, maybe you try to look for partners to join them, or look for an end user opportunity support like that. That I'm trying to. You can advise. You are more advanced in
Yeah,
that
I'll
respect.
give you two, three advice. Okay. And I'll be very honest here. First and foremost, where your interest lies. Your interest lies to start your career in the dynamics as a functional consultant, or you are good enough having understanding in the technology area.
I understand the method of technology already. My
Mhm.
interest is to get a functional consultant as this 365, and from there you then grow to become like an architecture like yourself now. You
Understood.
started somewhere
Understood.
and then you grew from there to become where you are today, correct? So that is what I'm trying to understand. If you're going to advise a new beginner
See,
from what
I'll
you
be
would
very
do.
honest here. I'll start with how the opportunity comes in the market. Okay. Okay. So, okay, there are two types of opportunity, okay, that comes in the market. Whenever any partner, try to search for the talent in the market. The first requirement comes in the market, okay, is primarily for the senior people, those who are having the X number of years of experience in the dynamics. If I talk about the functional area, okay, just for a discussion, okay. And they try to do that because they have a project and that project would require X number of experience. They cannot afford the basic or a junior level of candidate. Okay. If you try to got that opportunity and if you crack the interview, that you, I would suggest rather or advise you try to stick to that and join that organization as a partner organization. But if you are struggling because the partner always need the experienced people, then I would suggest you can start your journey initially for the 1 year, only for the 1 year with a partner. Those are having the support engagement. Okay, support engagement means a kind of a BOE process engagement where you are playing a role of architect or maybe a functional consultant in initial days, learning side by side in the application world, building your own thought process about this new technology and new area of Dynamics 365. And after 1 year, once you understand how the dynamics works in the BOE process, then you can try to look up for a next job opportunity into the implementation part. Okay, so I think I would advise if you get an opportunity to do implementation, go for it. Otherwise, you can stick to support for only limited time. Don't spend too much amount of time into the support area that might create a trouble in the long run if you want to switch your career to the implementation project.
Yeah, thanks, Rakesh. But I mean, I'll just maybe it's an endless topic, and there are other people asking question. But
Yeah.
I would suggest one thing. You know what Rakesh also said is you need to think from your perspective that if you have experience in another ERP for 20 years or 25 years, that doesn't mean that you will be a good architect for the Dynamics 365 space as well, right? That does not imply directly because what Rakesh said is the fundamental thing is the technical foundations you need to build. Now, to get those technical foundation, you get into support role, customer facing, partner facing, as a functional consultant, technical consultant, whatever it takes for you to build that technical foundation, you need to get into this ecosystem first. And then, of course, apart from the technical foundation, the customer facing, building the team, people, and business that you already know. So I think you need to relate to those core aspect which Rakesh was sharing to start a solution architect role in this ecosystem or any other ecosystem, basically. Maybe next, Hanisha, you want to go? Maybe we will take 5 more minutes, then we will start the next topic, and then in the end we will open up forum again because we want to just complete the next topic also before we spend more time in the Q&A. So Anisha, you want to go next? Maybe we'll take 2 more questions. And Raj, if I can request you, maybe your question we can take in the later part, and we can give the chance to Monojit next after this.
Yeah, Rakesh. As I said earlier, I started as a tester and worked as a functional consultant, and I have around 5 years of work ex. But most of my work ex is on support role, and I have done very few enhancements acting as a business analyst. So how can I see myself like developing into a solution architect? Like where can I start?
Yeah, first and foremost, you have to transition your career, Hanisha, to the implementation journey. Okay, you cannot think of like you will spend X number of years in future days, and then you try to become a solution architect. Because if you just try to compare the implementation projects and the support projects, both are completely different in terms of how you gain the knowledge and the experience, right? When you talk about the solution architect, it is more on the area, as I mentioned, pre-sales to the implementation, right? In one of the slides that I covered. So you try to see how you can transition current role of support projects to the implementation project. That is step number one. Once you enter into step number two, which is a implementation project, try to see yourself where is the four focus area, whether you are focusing more or having expertise in the functional side of the story or the technical side of the story, whichever is a more priority for you, stick to that. Okay, so for an example, you are more into the functional area. It means you can connect the people, you can connect the customer, you can connect the business, and you can connect the technology. And I believe in the technology you are lagging, try to brush up your thought process, as I mentioned, right, through a community or putting some your own efforts or a mentorship, so that you will understand the technology. Once you're through with this 2 or 3 implementation project, then you will come to know end-to-end journey of that implementation project, how the project starts from your discovery phase, which is a blueprinting phase, then your respective design phase, then the build phase, then prepare and deploy phase, and then production go live, right? So how that end-to-end journey look like? So it is very, very essential, especially in the Dynamics 365 ERP world, Anisha, that you have to go through this all journey of this, implementation cycle to have a thorough understanding as an architect. Okay, but it does not mean that you are having a core aspect of functional and then you cannot become a architect in the area of the solution.
Thanks, Rakesh.
Okay.
Monojit, I think we
Yeah.
can take your question and then we possibly Shashi, we can take your question. I mean, I request you to hold off for the last segment. So maybe Monojit, your last question on this part.
Yeah, thank you, sir, and thank you, Rakesh, for all your details. Probably, Rakesh, you have already completed a part of my question from Manisa's question answer as well. So before I
Yeah,
go for my question, I'll just give you a brief background of myself. So I'm same institution from where Rakesh you belong. I
okay.
started my career here in 2009, and then I am in a retail domain, completely starting my career as a retail domain. I had 9 years of experience in supply chain management, which is called Blue Yonder. Previously, it was JDA,
Yeah, I
and then
know.
in
Yeah, I know.
yeah. So now from 2020, I've been putting I'm a service delivery manager. I start my career as a service delivery manager from 2020 as a part of CRM and then Dynamic 365 FNO. So when I go into
Hmm,
the Dynamic 365 FNO, though I am a service delivery manager, my team was not very much matured. So I have to learn
hmm,
the functional part to connect with the business. It was implemented in just 1.5 year back. So I have to connect with my
understood.
business partner, business users so that I can connect with them.
Hmm,
And that's how
hmm,
I
hmm,
start growing my knowledge, not via
hmm,
certification or anything, just about my
hmm,
curiosity. I start learning, and then when I need to
hmm,
connect with my business, I just go to the Microsoft videos, YouTube videos, check what are the details, and then I brush up my knowledge over there. Now I
hmm,
grew my
hmm,
that
hmm.
interest in functional part. I haven't done my certification. I start learning this Microsoft SCM MB330 journey just now. I'm not looking
Yeah.
for that
Hmm,
solution architect, but it's still way up for me. I just started my career just now, you can
hmm,
say.
hmm.
So I
Yeah.
like to understand that I have been in 5 years of support domain. So definitely my role was service delivery manager. Definitely on that role, that
Yeah.
people can view from top view of mine. But I have in between the service delivery manager, I have done this functional part as well. So it's
Hmm,
a question like it's advice from your end. When I spend 5 years in support project, I just need to my switch my career to the implementation because I can understand when I because it's a two-way round. The project team was also
yeah.
there, business was also there. I have to go to the project team. How do you implement this one? And then I go to the business and connect to them. This is how it was implemented, and now
That's
you
correct.
have to use in a
Hmm,
different way. The legacy is completely
that's correct.
changed now. So that's how I maintain everything. And now my thing is I am just want to go into functional area, and I want to